Mm. Sweet home Chicago. But which
Summertime.
team? You know some good places to eat out there. Oh! Hello and welcome to the team profile and projection of the 16th ranked by you, the people, the Chicago Cubbies. Wow, DirecTV rewind of their 2024. Make sure you guys head on over, transform your baseball watching experience, head to directtv.com/JohnBoy or scan the QR code on the screen to learn more. Last year, the Cubbies, man, they hit a bit. They were 12th in runs, 13 in OPS, 10th in on-base percentage. Okay, we tick that up a little bit. The starting pitching, 6th in ERA, 10th in WHIP. The bullpen, a little more middle of the pack, that had the Chicago Cubs land at 83 and 79th, which was tied for second in the NL Central. But Trev, in a way, they had the offseason we've been asking for. They brought in some new pieces.
They definitely brought in some new pieces. We'll start with the free agents. They bring in Matthew Boyd, starting pitcher on a 2-year, $29 million deal. It's got a 27 mutual option. Last year in Cleveland, only 39 and two-thirds innings pitched, but he did pitch to a 2.72 in that time. So they're hoping for maybe even more than a little bit of depth out of Matthew Boyd. They also brought in Carson Kelly on a 2-year, $11.5 million deal. He's a catcher, spent last year in Detroit and Texas. How about our buddy Justin Turner? He comes over, spent last year in Toronto and Seattle. Obviously, you know him from the Dodgers. 1 year, $6 million. He'll split some time, DH, maybe some first base, maybe some third base if things get a little squirrely, but definitely a nice veteran to have in your clubhouse. Another pitcher, Colin Ray, comes over from Milwaukee on a 1-year, $5 million deal. My ex-teammate, Caleb Thielbar, comes over, the lefty with the curveball from the heavens, on a 1-year, $2.75 million deal. Couldn't find it last year in Minnesota, but he has a track record, and I think he'll be better there. Also, John Birdie comes over, 2 years, $11.5 million. He came from New York last year, 25 games, 90 OPS plus. The trades is where they made a lot of the magic happen, Jake. They brought in that Abraham Lincoln MFer. One of our favorite players in the game. Batting gloves, no batting gloves, depends. I don't know. Kyle Tucker, he's here. He's beautiful. He comes over for Houston. He got acquired from the Astros for Paredes, Hayden Wesneski, and third base prospect Cam Smith. If you don't know, you better know. Last year in 78 games, the guy racked up 4.7 B-WAR. He's one of the best players in all of baseball. He's in the contract year. Can't wait to see him in those blue pinstripes. Also, from Houston, Ryan Presley comes over.
Yeah.
The back end of that bullpen is shaping up in Chicago. He was acquired from the Astros with cash for starter Juan Bello. How about just the Dodgers scrap pile that they're able to throw out there? Ryan Brazier comes over in a trade with the Dodgers for cash. Last year pitched to a 3.5 ERA in 29 games. Another reliever, Eli Morgan, comes over from the Guardians. Vidal Brujan coming over from Miami as a depth bench aspirations, a utility guy. How about Cody Petit, another guy from the Yankees? He comes over. I mean, they brought in a ton of people. Minor league deals, Travis Jankowski, Nicky Lopez, Trevor Richards, Chris Flexen, Brad Keller. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. They brought a lot of people in this year, Jake. So big overhaul there. Who did they lose?
Man, this is the hardiest new guys and who's out segment. Just via free agency, Jorge Lopez, Kyle Hendricks, Mikey T, Mike Tauchman, the prodigal son, Nick Madrigal, 3,000 hit Madrigal just got banged up with the Mets. Our guy Patrick Wisdom's going over to the KBO. Get your MVP tickets in now. He's going to clean up over there. Sean Armstrong's in Texas. Now via trade, you mentioned parts in. They did have parts go out. Cody Bellinger with the Yankees talking about his MVP form this spring training, whatever. Isaac Paredes. Don't be shocked if he has a massive year in Houston. Hayden Wesneski went over in that trade. Matt Mervis, Miles Mastroboni out. Also, Alzolay, Colton Brewer, Smiley, Yency Almonte, Christian Betancourt, good 24 games for them last year, and David Bodie having a nice spring as we record this. So yeah, if you're bringing in pieces via trade, you got to send something out. I do think it's led to a better overall Cubs team. Does the lineup feel that way?
I mean, it definitely does. This lineup has some thump. It has some speed. It has some athleticism. It has some defense. Let's talk about our guy, the handsome businessman, podcasting, Gold Glove winning, wine bottle should be having, left fielder Ian Happ. He's a stud, as consistent as it gets. He'll be there. Mentioned Kyle Tucker in right field. How about Pete Armstrong in center field? That's a fun outfield right there. Because we're talking about, I believe Kyle Tucker has a Gold Glove. I know Ian Happ has a Gold Glove, and Pete Armstrong's going to win the Platinum Glove at some point. This is about as good as it gets out there. First base, Michael Busch, come over from the Dodgers. He'll be there. Nico Horner at second base, Dansby Swanson at shortstop, Matt Shaw, young guy, who they have a lot of aspirations for, will be at third base. So just a lot of just solid play going on in the infield. This is one of the better infields, but one of the better defenses in all of baseball last year. Seiya Suzuki at DH and Miguel Amaya catching. On the bench, John Birdie, Carson Kelly, Justin Turner, Vidal Brujan. And then you got guys to watch like Kevin Alcantara, Owen Casey, Nicky Lopez, Gage Workman. A lot of guys there, a lot of pieces to the puzzle, Jake, that I think if we're talking about maybe taking the next step forward in this rankings, I think we've got to the next level, in my opinion. What about the rotation and the bullpen?
You've leveled up, huh?
I think so.
In the rotation, how's your southpaw? Shota Imanaga, one of the breakout players of last year. Justin Steele, God, when he's right, tough to hit. Jameson Taillon, our coffee-drinking brethren. Matthew Boyd to slot in. Javier Assad. And then some depth pieces. You mentioned Colin Rea probably being a swingman. Cody Poteet, same. Ben Brown. Jordan Wicks. Like him, too. Ryan Presley, hoping to lock down the closer role or maybe teach Porter Hodge his ways with Ryan Brazier back there. Tyson Miller, Teal Bar, Morgan Thompson, Nate Pearson, and Julian Merriweather floating around. Luke Little, ironic name, I believe, for the big lefty. So with all that, Coach Trev, this is a Cubs team that we've been requesting kind of elevates themselves in the NL Central, in baseball. I mean, since that Cubs core of Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, Schwartz, it's felt like a different organization. This year truly feels like the first year that maybe, and that's probably why they're at 16th on this list instead of top 10. People need to see the Cubs do it.
Yeah, when's the last time they made the playoffs? Was it 2017, I believe it is?
Long.
I think that's what it is, Coach. So, I mean, yeah, people need to see it in action 100%.
The 2020 expanded playoffs, they were in that. And then 2018, they lost with the one-game wild card. So,
okay, so last time they won a playoff
2017
game was 2017. Okay. Apologies to Cubs fans.
Okay.
What was the question you just asked me?
I was saying how they're ranked 16th. We need to see the Cubs do more because it's an ironic division a little bit because the Brewers, we just have now fully placed their bar at basically 90 wins. That there's been this smorgasbord of Central that we've been waiting for the Cubs to kind of break out from, but they haven't.
Yeah, I think we just talked about all the players they've added. Obviously, they lost some players, but it was about as good of an offseason, I think, as you could have. I think a lot of Cubs fans wanted Alex Bregman to be there, and it just didn't happen. But I also know a lot of Cubs fans are very high on Matt Shaw. Yeah, this guy's a rookie compared to a guy that's done it for
Right.
8 years in the big leagues. There's a difference there. But the mentality this year is win now. It's not win. I mean, there is win in the future still within this team because they have guys locked up, but it's bringing Kyle Tucker in for 1 year and giving up pieces for him means it's time to go. And I think that's maybe a different mentality than the sense of urgency has been pushed a little bit more in my mind than in years past with the Cubs. You bring Craig Counsell over, great. You bring in Dansby Swanson, awesome. But when you make a move for a guy has 1 year left, like a guy like Kyle Tucker, that to me wakes up the entire organization and says we have to go after it this year. So I think the mentality itself going into spring training and entering the season will change for them. And when I look at the overall roster, I always kind of say, okay, is there a veteran presence there? Are there guys that have been there and done that? Yes, this team has a bunch of them and a bunch of guys who have played like in very, very meaningful games. I mean,
Mhm.
Dansby Swanson's won a World Series.
Tucker.
Kyle Tucker's won a World Series. Justin Turner's won a World Series. Ryan Presley. They brought in Ryan Brazier. They brought in a bunch of guys that have real deal playoff experience. And if you talk to anybody that's ever done that, they'll tell you that's all they want. For the rest of the time
Yeah.
they play baseball, they could give a shit about the regular season. Let's go play some playoff baseball, boys. That mentality you don't have that in every clubhouse. You don't. This clubhouse is chock full of it. So I think that alone, like I said, the feeling will be different. The expectations are already different with this team. And then if you look at the roster, there's some really fun young talent there mixed with some of that veteran the presence that this is what I kind of look for when I'm talking about a team that can truly compete. Now, like Kyle Tucker is the difference maker offensively for them? Because I think before, like if we go back to last year, like decent offense. I don't think they had a guy really there that could completely change the game. We said that a couple times now in these TVPs. Kyle Tucker can change the game. So they have that. Pitching staff, very healthy last year, made all their starts. Like I think that, you know, uh, that's going to be a strong suit for them. And then the bullpen, man, they brought in some dogs. This is a complete roster to me right now. Pitching
Mm.
staff is going to be, I think, I'd put him like a top 10 pitching staff. I think their bullpen has the potential to be higher than that, and then the offense can be right around that 10 range too. All of those things firing at the same time. This team could go on a run. This team could get into playoffs and win the whole damn thing. I don't think they've been able to say that in quite some time though.
What is the biggest concern for you when you look at this team? Is it like you mentioned, the rotation was healthy last year, and hey, maybe the league gets a second look at Shota. Is it? I don't know what it is because it's the weird. Is it maybe the middle of the lineup becoming a little thin? Like we talk about the sophomore season a little bit. Like if Michael Busch has a sophomore season, now you're looking at Dansby and Horner, who they really make their bread on the defensive side. Defensive, that was really weird. And then we're looking at PCA, who's kind of the same, and like young Matt Shaw, Miguel Amaya. I guess those are the two things as I talk myself through this. I wonder if the rotation is going to be sixth in ERA again, and I wonder a little bit about the depth of the lineup.
I don't worry about like the rotation and ERA because they do have such a good defense behind them. I think that creates like a pretty high floor for their pitching staff. So I like that. I guess I would be if I had one qualm, I guess it would be power, like
Okay.
slug.
Yeah. No, that's
Maybe, but
fair.
again, I think Kyle Tucker answers a lot of those questions. So I don't have a ton of like, man, they really got to be able to do this. If you really were to, make me answer that question, I would say, yeah, like power in the lineup.
No, that
But I don't think they necessarily like need that. Like they have speed to make up with it. Like get on base and let the guys that can hit for power hit for power. We don't need a bunch of guys that step up and all of a sudden hit 30.
no, again, I just want to do it as a thought exercise because, we're tasting these Cubs pretty good and that's exciting, but there is a reason they're ranked 16th. Like, we've seen teams have big off seasons and they jump in the top 5. Like, there's still question marks here. And I think that's a great way to phrase it. Cause like, I guess I'm not worried about Dansby Swanson, the hitter, or Horner. Like, I know where they're going to land, but at the same time, Swanson, Horner, PCA, Shaw, Amaya, I don't know who I can lock in for 15 homers, which that's a weird
What did they rank
feeling.
last year in homers?
What's that?
What did they rank last year in homers?
The Chicago Cubbies last year were 20th in home runs.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of where I thought they're not a very slug oriented team, but I think Kyle Tucker does change that. And maybe, just maybe, old launch angle king Justin Turner can step in and change some things.
Man, they got some olds on this team, bro.
They do. It's a nice mixture, man. You know what I like about PCA? I'm going to be just running hot with this guy.
Okay.
He is a new school player. He is DGAF.
Yeah.
But he does give a fuck.
He's de-gaffing while gaffing.
He gaffs.
Yeah.
A lot. Like, he has respect
yeah.
For the game and for veterans. Like, he has a nice mixture of both. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm on this team. I like him a lot, dude. The Brewers are going to be tough, like they always are, because they truly have their team identity. And I think that having that and just kind of just the feeling going into a year, if you're a Brewer and just be like, yeah, like, we're going to do it because we always do it.
Right.
That is unique. But if we're going roster for roster, I like this Cubs roster better. Doesn't mean it's going to play out that way.
That's the tricky thing. Man, don't let Ian Happ have 2 more good years and get another damn contract. Because then he's just going to own the world, man.
He's never going to talk to me again.
Correct. Hey, the only thing I want to say, because Trev, I am with you. I mean, this team should be fun. The defense, like you mentioned, should be amazing. I mean,
yes.
Happ, Tucker, PCA, Swanson, Horner, Matt Shaw. I'm interested to see how he rates out over
He was
there.
like wasn't he like a second baseman in the minor leagues, and
there
moved
was
him over
rumors
to
about
third?
second. So I obviously don't have the full scouting report on that, but this team should play a ton of defense. They should hit enough. I guess, Cody Bellinger leaving, like, Cody Bellinger's kind of a Kyle Tucker light, right? Like, plays good defense, going to have some pop, is going to have some speed. Again, 30 out of 30 teams would prefer to have Kyle Tucker in the nicest way to my guy Belly. I know Paredes kind of underperformed for them, and people were worried about his fit at that stadium and stuff. That I guess that's one less thing. I don't know. I'm interested to see what else they miss, because there was a lot of parts out, but at the same time, they had a really nice offseason. And
the revamping of the bullpen is pretty big to me as well. They found a guy in Porter Hodge that kind of got the job done for them. But then you bring in some more established relievers, and whenever you have, instead of 1 or 2 guys you can rely on in high leverage situations, when you can go and say, man, we got a lefty we can bring in, we got guys that have done it again at the highest level, so the nerves aren't going to be there. When you have now 4 or 5 different high leverage options, it's a game changer.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where are they at the deadline, and do they move more chips in? Like, Alcantara is supposed to be up this year, and that outfield's a little jamming. Do they view him as a Tucker replacement, or can he bring in maybe the final piece for them at the deadline? But yeah, these Cubbies should be one of the fun teams to watch this year. I like that.
I like this over-under, Jake.
Really? Because the over-under is brought to you by DraftKings. And whether you're getting in on the baseball action, I think we're going to be out the DraftKings Sportsbook in Chicago to start this season. Get ready for that. And if you're getting in on that or the NBA action, right now, all new customers who bet $5 will get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you use code Talkin. They've got everything, man. They've got everything. Team stuff, player stuff. It's the home of NBA player prop bets. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use code TALKIN, bet just $5 on any wager, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code TALKIN only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Hit me with it.
I'm trying to remember. I think I put already a lock. I believe it was the Rays over-under was like a one I really liked. I like this one better.
Okay.
The DraftKings over-under win total for the Chicago Cubs. And I think this is updated. It better be 85.5.
Okay.
I got my answer.
Okay. I want to look at one thing.
Look at one thing, Jake. I want to see what Pacoda has in Zips.
You know I don't Pacoda during the week. The last time the Cubs won 85 or more games was 2018. It's 2018. We haven't even mentioned Craig Counsell yet.
Good.
Second year down.
Good. Holy shnikes.
Okay, I got to process. We're
You want to talk
processing.
about Jed Hoyer as well? What's up, bro? Come on, let's talk about the ball players.
That it was a nice offseason. Processing my Brewers, processing my Reds, processing my Pirates, the Cardinals. Okay.
In 3, 2, 1.
Over.
Yeah, I think this team. I think that's the floor. I think this team has a chance to win 92 games.
I think you're right. I guess there's a little bit of a Cubs fear factor, but man, that city's ready for a good baseball team. And Kyle Tucker, man, I mean, that guy was on pace for an insane season last year. Before he got banged up, he had 23 homers in 78 games last year.
Insane.
That this guy might be peaking, and this guy might get one of those crazy contracts in a little bit, and he is going to have some shit in his basement. Okay, Cubbies fans, let us know. What do we miss? What should we be more excited about? What should we be less excited about? And everyone else, let us know your thoughts on the Chicago Cubs as we enter the top half of the league coming up in team profile and projections. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, and we will see you soon.